This podcast contains explicit language.
Holy merd.
This episode of the Dorking Out Show podcast is brought to you by
The letter I. You can't spell inconceivable without I. Because you keep using that word, and I do not think it means what you think it means.
Houston, flight is go.
Mila, let's go. SPM. Safety contact.
From Assignment X, thesoniashow.com, and Amalgamated Storytelling, this is the Dorking Out Show, the podcast for people who love stories from movies, TV, books, podcasts, and everywhere else.
Welcome to episode 103, our Oscar picks for the Unfixed Oscars edition. With me today is my co-host, professional writer, and author of The Sonia Show, Chevy Chase.
And you're not.
That's right.
With me today is my co-host, Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and nerd author, A. Whitney Brown.
That's right. Hey, I like that. Hey.
You're welcome.
All right. So, no, I am serious. In all seriousness, Charles Rocket. How obscure can we get and still say on Saturday Night Live? No.
What about Brad Hall?
Brad Hall. You know, married. Here's something that's interesting. Married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's debatable if that's interesting.
Well, no. Here's the interesting part.
Okay.
Supposedly, open marriage. Supposedly, both huge swingers. Supposedly.
Wow.
Now we've really earned our explicit rating today.
Nice.
So
keeping it classy since never.
That's right. Well,
so today we're talking Oscar picks, and the Academy Awards are airing Sunday night at 5 p.m. They're hosted by Jimmy Kimmel.
5 p.m. Pacific time.
5 p.m. Yes. Sorry.
The correct time.
We are going to run down our picks for all 24 categories, as we have been for almost 30 years, right?
Kind of, yeah. We for the last couple years, and I gotta say, well, you know what? Finish your intro, and then I'm gonna have my little soliloquy.
Yes. So we will also be recording after the Oscars on Sunday night. We will be recording our thoughts and feelings about the show and checking in with how we did on our predictions. One of us will have bragging rights, and the other one will be Smith.
Okay. You know what? We'll see. Because I think it's pretty clear that the Best Picture, we'll get into this, the Best Picture is a semi-serious toss-up at this point, so who knows who's going to win? Who knows what's going to happen?
I think we can all agree it's going to be The Darkest Hour.
Oh my God, that would be crazy. So I gotta admit something. It's fun to do these Oscar predictions. It's fun to try to, because I think you do two things. Correct me if I'm wrong. You try to think about what the Academy's going to predict and choose it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's contrary to B, and which is you pick the movies that you like, that you wish would win, you hope would win, you vote as though you...
I don't do that, because then I would never win any Oscar pools.
Right. Actually, that's true. I forgot.
But what I do every year is I have this... It is my never-ending struggle between what I think the Academy is going to pick and what I want to win. And never shall the two cross. And it's this weird struggle, because then I watch the show and I'm rooting for my picks, but I'm also rooting for the movie I want to win. And those things aren't very often the same. So it's a very emotional night for me.
So, yeah, it is an emotional night. And I got to admit, I think doing this podcast and discussing the Oscars and trying to game them out over the last couple of years in a serious way, because I am 100% try to win the Oscar pool. So my feelings are not in it at all. I do a lot of research. I do looking stuff up. But since you and I have been talking about how to fix the Oscars, I don't care about the Oscars at all. It's kind of like, one of the reasons I don't play video games is
Look, I understand you're trying to downplay your feelings.
Yeah, okay. All
because
right.
you're going to lose.
Maybe. I don't care. Yeah, that's right. We have two movies that are different. All of our picks are identical. So yes, it's really the bragging rights of those two. But what I was going to say is, one of the reasons I don't play video games is because I'll either play a game. There are certain kinds of games that I like, Civilization, where I can't play it because I like it too much.
Right.
But for most video games, it's essentially I play it, I finish it, and I never want to touch it again. It's kind of like, well, I got that solved. It's done. It's out of my life. It's out of my head. I feel like the Oscars has kind of taken that turn. With our award existing 3-part series on the Dorking Out blog, how we fix the Oscars, I am so much more interested in the Oscars functioning like that, and we will direct you to last week's episode for our explanation of that, watching the way I am like triply frustrated with the way the Oscars exist now. And I am just completely not interested in who wins or whatever, because it's like examining all of the fallacies that we've talked about and examining the way that true deserving movies could be rewarded if the Oscars were run in such a way to really reward the best in filmmaking. It would be so different. But it would still be a fantastic show. It would still be exciting to watch it on a Sunday night in March. But they're so far from that I'm just supremely frustrated. So with that caveat out of the way,
that's really sad, because it's like
it is
my Super Bowl. Like, I get very excited about the Oscars here, even though, I'm frustrated. Like, movies that I think should be recognized don't get recognized. I always have like a party. I have themed food. I've got my themed dishes all planned out in my head. It's my thing.
Right. And you know what? Having said all of that, I will definitely be watching. I will definitely be. It'll be interesting. It is kind of my Super Bowl, our Super Bowl. So yeah, with all of that being said, let's just
let's just get to it, right?
Help our listeners and just get right to our picks. Yeah. And then we'll see where we're at. All right. So do we want to do this? What order do we want to do this in? Do we want to do it in? You know what? I don't know. You've got your order here. We could just go through it that way. You know what? Do we want to read every nominee in every category, or should we just be like, here's what we think for Best Picture? No, let's not do that. Okay. Let's go from the bottom, because I think there's a lot of these. We'll do it kind of in the order that they do it on the show, almost. Because there's a lot of these that don't really merit a lot of discussion. Like makeup and hairstyling. Everybody has said Darkest Hour. So we're both picking Darkest Hour. Yes. Caveat, last year, Star Trek was supposedly a lock and it didn't win in this category. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see. Film editing, everybody seems to agree, although I find it somewhat frustrating that Dunkirk is going to win. That's also my pick, although I wouldn't rule out Baby Driver in this category necessarily. That's the thing, and I'm almost hoping Dunkirk doesn't win, because one of the things an editor is supposed to do, and I am speaking here as an Emmy Award-winning editor, is give clarity and give help to the audience to understand what's going on. Or if you're not understanding what's going on, the editor is controlling that not understanding. They're deliberately making things mysterious in a controlled, meaningful way that once the mystery is revealed, it will all kind of click into place. None of that, for me, happened in Dunkirk. Well, so my confusion in Dunkirk wasn't due to editing. It was due to casting. They cast. That's true. 5 white
pasty white brunette men that I couldn't even tell them apart.
No, here's the thing, though. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Look, okay, all joking aside, every World War II movie told in the European theater since World War II has been essentially a cast of pasty white dudes fighting in trenches. That is one of the, when we talk about diversity, there's a important, qualitative, meaningful discussion to have it. But when you're talking about an actual historical event where everybody's white, nearly everybody's white.
It wasn't just that they're all like white guys with brown hair. Like they all looked alike to me.
That's true.
What I'm saying is all white guys look the same.
Well, I know. But what I would point to you that is, yes, all that is true of all. And this is kind of my point. I'm hammering my point. That is true of almost all World War II movies since World War II. Because you have people of roughly the same age, in roughly the same clothes, roughly the same build, roughly the same hairstyle. They're all identical. And you can tell the difference with good editing. Here, because of the way they presented it, and I'm going to lay a lot of this at the feet of Christopher Nolan, and God help me, I cannot understand why people are thinking he's some sort of dark horse best director. We'll see.
There's a lot of affection for this movie.
There is, and I can't understand it.
You know what? I thought this movie was very cold. It did not click for me at all.
Yes.
But it's clearly working for other people.
That's true.
I mean, but we could also go on and on about 3 Billboards again.
Yeah.
That's another one where I'm like, what? But
exactly. So why don't you take us to our next category?
Which one? Oh, you know what? Another thing about film editing.
Yes.
This used to be a category that was very closely tied to Best Picture. So like, Dunkirk winning film editing would maybe mean that it was going to win Best Picture. But in the last couple of years, that kind of thing has gone out the window. Like I think last year Hacksaw Ridge won for editing. Right. And that was nowhere near going to win Best Picture. So, it kind of, I think didn't Inception win for editing too?
I don't know.
It's just not as tied to Best Picture as it used to be.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say. So for our next one, I think we were going on to visual effects.
That's right. Until our pre-show chat, this was a category where we were going to differ. But why don't you talk to people about visual effects and what you heard and what friend of the show, quote unquote, of the show, David Tracy, who works
my friend with benefits
he works in the visual effects industry.
He's not an Academy voter or anything like that.
No, he's not an Academy voter.
So in the visual effects category, there is Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I think like most people will tell you, it's kind of down to Blade Runner 2049 and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I was very torn. I didn't know which way it was going to go. None of the Planet of the Apes movies have won. And it's kind of the final one in this trilogy. And the visual effects are amazing in War for the Planet of the Apes. They look like real monkeys, apes, chimps, whatever. And their characters too, like fully formed characters that you connect with. I think it's amazing. I also think the effects in Blade Runner 2049 are really amazing. And so I went to my husband and I asked because he works in that industry, what he thought. And he said that the impression he's gotten is other visual effect employees, workers, have a lot of affection for Blade Runner 2049. They think it's really difficult what they pulled off in that movie and maybe not as showy as War
Right.
for the Planet of the Apes, and maybe even a little underappreciated. There's also a lot of affection for the first Blade Runner, and which also lost, apparently, its Academy Award. So
Was it nominated? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it lost. I think it lost to E.T. We could look it up.
Okay.
I think it did.
Why bother?
But I might be wrong. But I think I might be right.
Okay. So you're going with Blade Runner 2049.
So I'm going to go with Blade Runner 2049.
You know what? I'm torn because everything you said is true. The special effects industry really liking that, and I wish I should have looked up what the special effects award went to this year. I actually didn't do that in my.
I believe it went to War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh well, then that confirms my choice, which is War for the Planet of the Apes. And I'm wondering, in this era of motion capture, is the special effects category essentially turning into the "What did Andy Serkis do this year" award?
Well, I don't think it is because he hasn't won.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
None of the 8 movies have won.
But I think the effects team for Lord of the Rings won, didn't they? They must have.
They must have, right?
Anyway, so, and, he's carried those movies with his performance. Caesar has carried those movies.
By the way, I wouldn't have been mad if he had been nominated.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. God damn it. God damn it. That's something we forgot for our How to Fix the Oscars. The special effects makeup category.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. All right.
Well, there's always next year.
There is. All right. So let's move through these.
Yes.
Holler if there's something you want to stop and talk about.
Okay.
Original score, we're picking Shape of Water.
Yes.
Live action, short film, DeKalb Elementary.
Which I believe is about a school shooting.
Ugh.
So the theory is that the timing, it's very topical, and that maybe voters would connect with that and vote for it.
Okay. Animated short film, Dear Basketball. Sound editing, Dunkirk. Sound mixing, Dunkirk.
By the way, I don't think you could rule out Baby Driver in those categories either.
I agree. I almost picked Baby Driver for sound mixing.
But very often, we should mention, very often these are the categories where, a Transformer movie might win.
Right.
It's not usually... it's usually a big, loud movie, like a Saving Private Ryan might win.
Right.
I don't mean to suggest that Saving Private Ryan's like Transformers, but
she hates The Greatest Generation.
this I totally do.
That's what she
Fuck
meant.
The Greatest Generation. No, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
All right.
I don't remember. Anyway, who cares? It was probably something stupid.
Point is, Dunkirk. Big,
the point
loud.
is something like a Transformer movie would win in this category, and then they could say that they're the Oscar-winning Transformers: The Last Night or whatever bullshit movie it is.
Oh my God. That's right. You know what? Now that I think about it, now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking sound mixing might go to Baby Driver because it is so essential to that movie. The way the music is used in that movie. That'd be interesting. All right. Best costume, Phantom Thread.
Yes.
Best cinematography. We've talked about this before, I think. Roger Deakins, give him his goddamn Oscar.
Yes, he's been nominated 14 times. He's never won.
That's right. He's been nominated for a lot of Coen Brothers movies.
Yes.
He did True Grit, Skyfall. He did the best looking James Bond movie ever made. He did, yeah. So give him.
So there's also there is a possible upset here with Rachel Morrison, who did Mudbound. She's the first woman ever to be nominated, and I hear the movie looks absolutely gorgeous. So I don't think
that would be interesting.
I think she could be a dark horse contender for this one.
That would be interesting. All right. Production design, Shape of Water. for all of you people who fetishize mid-century industrial mad scientist lab type situations.
That's my husband.
Best original screenplay.
This one was tough. How did you? We both picked the same one, but how did you narrow it down?
Well, here's the thing,
we both picked Get Out.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. And I'll tell people this really is the best way to choose for these categories. Here's what I did: is I kind of made a spreadsheet. I went to GoldenDerby.com. I went to Variety.com, HollywoodReporter.com, and several other aggregation sites and, in the know movie sites. Mm-hmm. And I just said and I went down the list, which one's the winner in each of these categories. And Get Out was of the 7 different sites who have people that are knowledgeable and actually have Oscar voters contributing information that they're not allowed to, is my understanding. You can actually really get a good chance. That's how because what I used to do is try to kind of figure things out, and I would, miss as many as I hit, maybe more. And since I went to this method, which is completely bloodless and cold, passionless, my batting average has shot through the roof. So, however,
can I tell you my process? I just think it has the best screenplay.
Well, that's the thing.
No, I'm kidding. I actually I struggled with this one because it is nominated for Best Picture, and I don't want to spoil where we're going, but I don't think it's going to win anything else. Mm-hmm. I think this is Get Out's opportunity. This is the Academy's chance to give it something.
Right.
In this category, but I also think that about Lady Bird, mm-hmm. which is really great. And I don't want to rule out that Academy members love a good story, not just the one on the screen, but the behind the scenes. And The Big Sick has a really great story.
That's true.
Kind of like a Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting type story that, they'll get on board for. So I wouldn't rule that one out, but I went with Get Out because I do think it is the best one, and it won the Writers Guild Award. So that kind of put it over the top.
Oh, that's even better. Because what I was going to say is there's kind of every year there's the, Pulp Fiction was a year, and I had a supposition and I just checked it and I was corrected. Every year there's the, what's the stodgy Academy going to vote for? All right, that's Best Picture. What is the cool movie that everybody likes and is talking about more and is more excited about in a way? That's the one. So essentially, this is kind of like the runner-up Best Picture award.
Right.
Are these screenplay awards? Pulp Fiction won. And then I was trying to think, Titanic won a million different things, but everybody was talking about...
It didn't win for...
No, that's my... Hold on.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Titanic didn't win for Best Screenplay because everybody was... A lot of really film snobs said, oh, L.A. Confidential is much better than Titanic. What won Best Screenplay? L.A. Confidential. So, and I think it had... I think Inglourious Bastards was Tarantino's other Oscar. I
don't see it on the list.
I could be wrong, but my point is, Get Out is the cool video, is the cool movie.
Right.
Is the one that
Django
likes.
Unchained.
Django Unchained. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So best adapted screenplay, Call Me by Your Name. Didn't see it. That's it.
That one's also my pick.
So
I haven't seen it yet either, but I think it's available for streaming now. So I am hoping to watch it before Sunday, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Right. I agree.
So here's our other disagreement.
Right. And I think you have a pretty good. Our other disagreement is original song. What's the song that you picked, Sonia?
I picked "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman.
I picked Remember Me because Hollywood is that narcissistic. Every song nominated has to just be about me, 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 me. Anyway.
Which me song is going to win?
Exactly. But I think you could be right. And, one of the other open questions is whenever there's a movie about movie making or about Hollywood, even tangentially.
Yes. That's kind of what put me over the top, actually, on this one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but This Is Me is a song about performers who are mistreated, misfits.
Yes.
And they sing a big song about this is me, take it or leave it, deal with it, something like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of the song throughout the movie. Like,
exactly.
It comes back over and over. Actually, I think the whole movie is just this song.
Right.
I did see the movie because I love musicals.
How was it?
It's fine. I didn't love it, but it is entertaining. It was kind of funny. So Hugh Jackman is the star, and Hugh Jackman is awesome. Like he is Wolverine, and he is P.T. Barnum. Like he's these things, and he's awesome, and he's such a song and dance man. He really is like a showman. In the movie, he is married to Michelle Williams. Mm-hmm. He has no chemistry with her. And it's so funny. So his partner in the movie, like his business partner, is Zac Efron. And I was like, he has a lot of chemistry with Zac Efron. I'm just saying.
Interesting. All right. I don't know.
It's not bad. I just didn't love it.
All right. I have a mean question.
Okay.
That I'm going to ask that in no way do I want it to be interpreted as a slight against the fantastic actress Michelle Williams. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about Manchester by the Sea. I'm thinking of Brokeback Mountain. I'm thinking of this movie that you just mentioned. I'm thinking of
All the Money in the World.
All the Money in the World. Has Michelle Williams ever had chemistry with any man, with anyone, romantic chemistry on the big screen? Has it ever happened?
I don't know. I haven't seen all of her movies, but
do we have to go back? I was going to say, do we have to go back all the way to Dawson's Creek to see if she had chemistry? But now that I'm thinking about it,
I would say I don't think she had chemistry with James Van Der Beek either.
That was going to be my next punchline. Has she had chemistry with anyone?
I love Michelle.
I do too. She is fantastic.
You know what? I didn't see Blue Valentine with Ryan Gosling. I bet she has chemistry with him.
I'm trying to think of
because don't we all?
Who would not have chemistry with?
Right?
Ryan Gosling. All right.
Anyway, let's move on.
Speaking of Michelle Williams, foreign language film is A Fantastic Woman. That's our pick. Have we seen it? No. Documentary short subject, Heroin. Speaking of Michelle Williams, Heroin. Because she's a heroine?
Why did you pick this one, out of curiosity?
Because it's the one that came up in my rigorous mathematical analysis.
Yeah. I picked it because I recognized it from Netflix.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which is why I also picked my documentary feature, sort of.
Well, here's the thing. Documentary feature, this was a category where the data that I was going through was all over the place. There were like 3 different movies that this one's a toss-up. Here's what I would say, though.
So what are the 3?
Well, you know what? Why don't you continue talking? And I will bring that data up, and I will talk to you about it.
Okay.
Because I closed out that spreadsheet earlier this evening.
So we both picked Icarus. Right. And I picked it 1 because I was like, this has been on Netflix for a while, so I know a lot of people have seen it.
Not a bad theory.
Not a bad theory. Also, I know it's about like Olympic athletes and doping, right?
Right. That's correct.
And I felt, well, the Olympics just happened. That's topical. I think that makes it it puts it over the top. But I also read about one called Faces Places, but I heard that one's kind of on the lighter side, and like lighter documentaries do not usually win. This is the category for super bummers.
Right.
And Holocaust documentaries.
That's right. This is the number one category of blowhard Hollywood self-importance.
Right.
Let me just refer you to Michael Moore's Academy Award-winning film, Fahrenheit 451, The Temperature at Which Freedom Burns.
Wasn't it Fahrenheit 9/11?
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That's right. Fahrenheit 9/11, The Temperature at Which Freedom Burns, oh my God, Jesus.
Sigh.
So anyway, I'm going to say, okay, the movies that were all over the place, Faces Places had a lot of winners. A lot of people thought that was going to win. Icarus, about the same amount of people thought that was going to win. Last Man in Aleppo, which is a depressing movie about the Syrian conflict, there were a couple people choosing that one.
I was also leaning towards that one because last year White Helmets won, and
Right.
I think it's kind of along those lines.
Here's the thing. Here's why I think Icarus could win. I think I'm going to rely on Hollywood's secret, very on the down low, but nevertheless there, propensity for liking liberal things and hating Republicans.
It's very secret.
It's very secret. You have to really look for it.
No one talks about it.
You have to turn your television on. Once that's step one. Step two, you're done. That's it. That's all you have to do. But what I was going to say is Icarus is about highlighting Russian corruption, Russian doping, and making Vladimir Putin look bad in this time of strife and struggle.
Right. Well,
Any movie that can, if there was a Donald Trump as a shithead, which reminds me, how is?
by the way, I would totally vote for that documentary.
Exactly. That was my point. Where is Michael Moore now that I think about it? Is he dead? Is he still alive? Because that should be a documentary that's nominated and would win in a walk.
So, Last Man in Aleppo. Was it Last Men? Sorry, Last Men in Aleppo. Yeah,
Right.
The director actually got denied a visa to come here.
Ooh.
So maybe don't count that one out.
That's true. That could be let's give it to this guy so
to highlight.
the State Department has some explaining to do Monday morning. Because if there's anything I think we can rely on from this State Department, it's that they're going to give a shit.
Yeah, because they totally care what people think.
That's right. That's what they're doing. All right. So
Anyway,
best animated film, Coco.
it's definitely going to be Boss Baby.
Yes, which highlights maybe one of the flaws in Sonia and my theory on how to improve the Oscars by just taking the top three movies in any of these genre categories.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just really happy they didn't nominate like the Emoji Movie.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I guess we have the to be thankful for. No Cars 3.
That's right. Which, now that I think about it, wasn't Cars 3 nominated?
No, it's not. That was last year.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah, so it would have been on
Holy
this list.
smokes.
They could have put Cars 3 in the place of Boss Baby.
I was just going to say,
Come on,
I
Boss
did.
Baby's not good.
Well, okay, let me ask you this, though.
I haven't seen it.
I've seen about half of it. And for the first 20 minutes, it came up on Netflix, and I was not feeling that great. So I was thinking, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Why not? It's nominated. I think this was like a couple days after it got nominated, so it's like, all right, fuck it. Let's watch this and see what's up. There are moments in it where it's like, oh, okay, I can see why people like this, but a huge amount of the movie is still exactly what you get in the trailer.
Right.
So it's one of those things where sometimes you can make a great movie look not so great by a poor trailer. They did not do this movie any favors
Right.
with its trailer, but it's still like, blah, who cares?
Well, it seems to me that My Little Pony, the movie, could have taken that slot.
It could have, I guess. If we want to just throw this category away. You know what?
Don't we?
No, we don't.
I'm kidding.
We need 7 more categories just like this. This is now that I think about it, animated feature is the only, well, actually, now that I think about it, we don't even have animated feature in our Oscars. We have family film, children's films. All right. Anyway, let's get on to the big categories.
Yes.
Supporting actress.
This one was tough.
Not really.
It was for me.
Now, how come you picked Allison Janney? Because everybody is talking about her in a walk. Like I don't think there's anybody. I don't think you can rule.
I don't think you can rule out Laurie Metcalf. That's all.
Yeah. No.
I think she's super. Well, they're both great. Here's the thing: they're both great, and they're both the people that, by the way, they always win the Emmys.
That's right.
Like when you see their name on the Emmy ballot, they're going to win.
Right.
So to see them both like up against each other for an Oscar is like, well, fuck, who do I pick?
Yeah.
But I went with Allison Janney because she seems to have won the most.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's more of the showy part.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Laurie Metcalf, I think, did a better performance. They both play difficult mothers, essentially, to strong-willed, kind of crazy daughters. Allison Janney plays Tonya Harding's mother almost like a mustache-twirling villain. Mm-hmm. Laurie Metcalf plays Lady Bird's mother like a
human being. And actually there's a really touching kind of ending to that, which now that I think about it, if I were voting, Laurie Metcalf would have my vote, but Allison Janney is my pick. Actress in a leading role. Who's your pick? I think it's going to be everyone's pick. It's Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards outside crap hole Missouri.
I do have to point all of our listeners to an episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mispronounced the name. It's Ebbing, Missouri. Sorry. I read that as crap hole. I'm really sorry.
That's right. I do have to point everyone to a Ringer, an episode of one of the Ringer podcasts on the Channel 33 podcast feed, where Sean Fennessy and some of their entertainment writers over from the Ringer talk about the Oscars and break it down, and their deconstruction of 3 Billboards and talking about it being Crash 2.0 and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the way that they take this thing apart it was a joy to listen to from start to finish.
What episode is that? Because I'm going to listen to it.
I think it's the latest episode.
Like the most, okay.
It's the, if you go to the Channel 33 feed, it's one of the last 2 or 3.
It is my fear that this is going to win original screenplay, and it's going to make me so angry.
Oh, it's going to be.
That's going to be the one that makes me so angry because, as we've discussed many times on this show, this is a bullshit movie. Yeah. And this script, it fucking falls apart.
It
does. Shouldn't even be nominated.
Yes, it does. And the thing that
the performances are great. I don't want to shit all over them.
They're fine.
I guess that would be a better descriptor. Yeah, they're fine.
Their description of Frances, the fraudulency of Frances McDormand's character and the way they took that apart was just like, oh my God, that's great. Yeah, this is essentially what we're doing with this episode is telling you to listen to other podcasts. So, I will be furious because let's look at one of the things one of the nice things about, Oscar season is you get people giving a lot of interviews about their thing. And Jordan Peele was talking about his process for writing Get Out and how he'd been working on it and how he shopped it around. And actually, Bill Simmons, one of the other main podcasters on the Ringer Network, talked about him remembering interviewing Jordan Peele when Keanu came out
Mm-hmm.
And he says, so what's your next movie? And Jordan Peele kind of described it, and the movie was Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Bill Simmons, who's a really with it guy, really smart, really open, really, you know, cagey or, you know, really clever about movies and all that stuff, said, yeah, at the time I thought he was crazy. I thought, oh, God, what a way to destroy your career. He thought it was an awful idea. He thought it was awful. He felt bad, but was like, all right, there you go. You know, and then he goes on. This is a long and rambling way to say, how many times have we seen a movie like Three Billboards? It's seen
A lot.
Every fifth indie movie is this movie.
Right.
Some small town Inter-Americana where they're trying to comment on the meaning of something in America, blah, 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 blah. There you go. It's got quirky, you know, blah, blah characters. It's got this, it's got that. How many movies, how many horror films based on race have you ever seen?
Right.
0. Jordan Peele's movie is the first. I don't know how many studios shut that guy down and just thought that this was a career killer, you know, to defend Bill Simmons a little bit. A lot of people did not see the beauty. You know, maybe I'm patting myself on the back. Maybe this is rewriting history. As soon as I heard about this idea of melding the problems of race with a horror movie, it just seems such a good idea that I can't believe he's the first person to do it. So if he...
Well, I think if you look at other horror movies, that stuff is there. It's just not as...
Is it?
I think people would argue that, like, the first Night of the Living Dead
Okay.
has, you know, stuff like that. But
Okay. All right.
but I would say that this one's more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Allegorical?
Yeah,
Metaphorical?
obvious.
Oh.
I guess.
It wasn't that obvious. No one's ever done it. All right. No. Yeah, I hear what you're
But
saying.
I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah.
I will say the best thing, though, about Three Billboards, besides Frances McDormand kicking that teenage girl in the vagina, is that after the shooting at the high school in Parkland, Florida, somebody wrote out took some space on some billboards and parked them outside Marco Rubio's office.
Oh, wow. All right.
So that's pretty sweet.
So this is my ridiculously long and rambling way of saying if Three Billboards beats Get Out
For screenplay.
Holy moly. Right. All right. So best supporting actor.
Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards outside Crap Hole, Missouri.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you walked out of that movie theater, because one of the big slights against this movie is centered around, or one of the big points of criticism is centered around Sam Rockwell's character.
Yes. His redemption arc.
Well, that's the thing.
I guess.
When you walked out, did you feel as though he had a redemption arc?
I think the movie thinks he has a redemption arc, but I don't think he does. Does that make sense?
Well, maybe, yeah.
I don't want to spoil the movie necessarily for people, but when this movie ends, I was like, they're not heroes and they're not in a good place.
That's the thing is I thought I was under the impression that was kind of intentional.
But I think the movie thinks they're doing a great thing.
I don't know. Here's the thing, and I would not put the racial problems of this movie even on his character. Well, yes and no. In that his character is a cop, a racist cop who's done bad things to African Americans in his custody, and he goes through a process in this movie. The thing that's craziest to me and the most tone-deaf ridiculous is the treatment of the actual African American characters in this movie.
Right. How they're like non-existent and aren't really people.
Right. And I think we've talked about this before on Mike, and I'll blast through it if we have. You know, Frances McDormand works with an African American. She's in trouble with the police, an African American woman. She's in trouble with the police. So in order to mess with her, they arrest her friend. and keep her in jail for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Her friend gets out of jail, walks up to Frances McDormand, who's doing something with the Billboards. It's kind of like, hey, I'm out of jail. And Frances McDormand's character's like, hey, you're out of jail. And then almost kind of like turns around and continues with her day or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the part that's nuts to me.
Yeah, no part is she like, hey, your stupid white ass got me thrown into jail.
Yeah, and no part also is Frances McDormand saying, hey, I know that I'm being a hard ass on the cops and I'm poking the bear in the eye and you're the one that took the bullet for me. But sorry, Frances McDormand. And that's the thing. That's why I can't. Sam Rockwell's racism and condition in the movie has some storytelling place. You know what I mean? Is the way that I took his character in this movie is he doesn't get redeemed, but at least he starts to turn his back on his dark past and takes one or two steps towards maybe a better future, but he's in no way redeemed.
Yeah.
It's Frances McDormand's character that, in a weird way, I think is kind of more racist and more racially problematic.
I think I don't lay the problems of this movie at the feet of the performances of Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson.
Definitely.
They're all doing the very best they can, but this screenplay does them no favors. It's a bullshit script that makes me angry.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's not their performances, it's their characters. And it's the conception of their characters. I'm just using their
I love
names.
Sam Rockwell. He probably should have won an Oscar years ago for a lot of other movies. I'm thinking of Moon right now off the top of my head, but
I'm thinking of Galaxy Quest, but that's all right.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest is rad.
So,
but anyway, I don't want to talk about that stupid movie anymore.
All right. Best actor in a leading role.
I think Gary Oldman's the obvious lock here for this one.
You know what? He is. And I got to say, I'm pretty surprised that he's such a lock. Because people love Daniel Day-Lewis. That was an interesting performance.
They sure do.
Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. That was interesting. Yeah. And Gary Oldman playing Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour seems like a very retro,
totally retro,
back weird, thing. With the post, and that's what it is, I guess. With the post obvious Oscar baiting getting shut out, Darkest Hour is the second most Oscar baitiest movie of the year. So I'm surprised that he's such a lock.
Well, do you think this is Gary Oldman's Scent of a Woman?
Yeah, it probably is. Which
also, I read a lot about Timothée Chalamet in Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah,
as a potential spoiler in this category.
So, am I homophobic if I am just not interested in that movie? I just don't care.
Well, I don't know. Are you like a Merchant Ivory guy?
Usually. Sometimes, but Merchant Ivory, they've been dead for... One of them's Merchant or Ivory. I can't remember which one.
I think Ivory is still alive. And
actually, he wrote the screenplay for this, right?
Yes, he wrote this one.
You know what? Yeah, I'm kind of a Merchant Ivory guy. But you know what? Part of it is this happened in my lifetime. If this happened in the 1890s rather than the 1980s, you like that little dyslexia flip around there?
Yeah.
If this happened in the 1890s in Britain... in a weird way, I would be a lot more interested.
Well, that's weird because then it would just be white British people problems, and
it would
probably win, and it would win all the awards, and clearly it'd be like your favorite movie of the year.
You know what? For all of the derision I have against British people problems, movies in the Oscars, I like quite a bit of them. All right, best director.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Sure.
Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
And he won the Directors Guild Award, correct?
Could be. I didn't check that. I should have checked that. The cheat sheet, the cheat system that I gave you earlier.
I believe he did, and right. I believe that Jordan Peele won for best first film. So that was one of those things where I was like, gosh, it could go either way.
Well, maybe. Everybody's picking Guillermo del Toro. And that's one thing that I did not do is earlier when I gave you the cheat sheet, I did not go to all the different guilds and see what their awards were. The effects guild, sound guild, art guild.
You gave me a cheat sheet?
When I talked about it earlier in the show about
gotcha.
how I make my choices.
I thought you meant you sent me one.
No, I'm not helping you. So Guillermo del Toro, yeah, Greta Gerwig. I'm glad that she's nominated. I didn't see anything in that movie that makes me think the direction was out of sight. Paul Thomas Anderson should have won for Boogie Nights.
Right.
And Punch Drunk Love, maybe. And you know what? Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan. Ugh. I see why he's there, but I just, ugh. I really hope Jordan Peele pulls a Kevin Costner.
Me too.
And walks away with this. I would be so happy with just like, here's my first movie, got nominated for an Oscar, boom, give it to me, thanks, bye. That would
bye, I'm going to make movies about baseball for the rest of my career.
Now, here's one thing that I want to throw by you.
Yes.
Is because of the Oscar So White campaign, I listened to this on some other podcast that I'm not going to tell you the name of that because you're going to go listen to that one. I've done that too much already. 20% of the voting academy has been a part of the academy for 2 years or less.
Oh, okay.
And they're, they think that, or some people that I listen to say that that's the reason Moonlight won last year, is because that essentially new blood came in and voted different ways, and that's why it won. So I would not count Jordan Peele out.
I definitely wouldn't count Get Out of these categories, and I hope it wins all the awards. It is my favorite movie of the year. So I'm down with it.
Okay, Sonia, why don't you go on to Best Picture while I do a little half-assed research on the web.
So we both picked The Shape of Water. It's been winning all the stuff. It won the Golden Globe. It won the Producers Guild. It didn't get any love at the Screen Actors Guild. And the actors are a huge voting block of the Academy, so that's something to consider. But ultimately, I went with that because I think this. Let me see if I'm going to explain it correctly. I feel like it is like such an homage to like old Hollywood movies.
Right.
That it's enough of a nod to old Hollywood that Hollywood would be like, this is about us.
That's
right. And they would vote for it.
That's right. I agree with you.
Also, it's a really beautiful movie. Like if it wins, I'm not mad. I love Shape of Water.
I'm not going to be mad, but I don't know.
I would be mad. I would be more mad about like Darkest Hour or Dunkirk. Or The Post or God help me, 3 Billboards, which really could win.
That would be so great.
It really could be 3 Billboards.
So
there is a very good chance here that they will split Best Picture and Director.
And
Shape of Water wins directing, and then Best Picture goes to 3 Billboards.
Didn't the Screen Actors Guild give 3 Billboards their ensemble, which is usually it's kind of like their Best Picture. So that's true. Because
but it also has Woody Harrelson, Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, and all those parts are very actory.
Yeah, and
whereas I would say Shape of Water, not so much.
That's right, because and that's another thing is the Shape of Water wasn't even nominated for the ensemble category in the Screen Actors Guild,
right?
Which is usually an indication that it's got a hard road to hoe, because I believe the largest voting block in the Oscars
is what I said.
Actors. Yes, you did that. And the reason I wasn't listening
He wasn't
to you
listening. Everybody drink.
was not the normal reason that I don't
No,
listen.
I know. You were looking something up.
But 3 of the last 4 directors have been from Mexico. Mexican
Oh.
Alfonso Cuarón,
Yes.
Alejandro Inarritu twice in a row. God, how is it that Steven Spielberg never did that? And this guy, Birdman is fine. Revenant's anyway. All right,
I didn't even see Revenant. It looked like a super bummer.
It is. It's part of this really irritating trend. In the last
He looks like he's really suffering in the movie. Let's give it awards.
Yes, it's this real this self-important miserable movie thing that the Oscars have been doing for the last couple of years. It's just really bumming me out. Then last year, Damien Chazelle, La La Land. So that was a bright spot until La La Land did not win Best Picture because it's too happy. Anyway, so that is a way of saying Guillermo del Toro, another Mexican. If this is a way to stick it to Trump, Hollywood, give it to the Mexican. That'll really get his goat. So, and this is how my career ends 4 years from now, when somebody cuts out me screaming, "Give it to the Mexican," and that's it for me. So those are our picks. Is there anything else that you would like to say? Oh, actually, you know what? There is something else I would like to say.
Mm-hmm. So
we are picking Shape of Water.
Yes.
However, I think a good case, a lot of people are saying this. I think a good case can be made for 3 Billboards winning, Shape of Water winning, Get Out winning. This is a tough year. To really, we could. One of the things that we need to step back and say is, this happened to us last year, where those new members start scrambling the way that the Academy traditionally votes. There's 24 categories here. For a couple of years there, you and I were consistently getting above 20 in our picks, and then last year I think we got like 16. We got hammered last year. It's entirely possible that we're going to get completely wrecked this year. This is, take what we say seriously, because we have done some research. We know what we're talking about. But at the same time, this has been one of the 50-50, 33-33-33 type situations for a lot of these categories. Yeah. We could be looking at a total train wreck here. So
I think you're right.
That's all I have to say that. So now that I have told you about a bunch of different podcasts to listen to and talked about how our picks suck, there's your Oscar picks.
It could be our picks. Might be just what you need to win your office Oscar pool.
It could be. So, Sonia Mansfield.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to say before coming back on mic, drunk as a skunk on Sunday night?
I will probably be drunk. I'll just say, if I could, I would have voted for Obama for a 3rd term.
Oh my
and
God.
Goodbye.
Bye!